and check a little bit for, go back on time, see why the war really started in Syria. Many years ago, around 2008, 2007, the NATO and European Union, they wanted the Syrian to accept to run a pipeline from Qatar, gas, all the way through the sea to Europe. It can go, will go through Turkey too. Big project. And Iraq is totally under the control of American until now, actually. I mean, all the government of Iraq until now, they are controlled by the American. So the pipeline will go all the way from Qatar and will run all the way through Syria, and then will go to Turkey and then go to Europe. It might be a long line. Trust me, they are running long line from Russia too. All the purpose of this to be independent from the control of the Russian gas, so they can have more secure gas coming to them. The Assad refused. Why he refused? Because simply he is a friend of the Russian. He will not do something will harm his friends. The whole purpose of this line is to get rid of the Russian gas and oil. That's it. It's not a secret. And when he refused to run the pipeline going through Syria all the way to Turkey, then to Europe, they cannot run it. Iraq, not all of it is the same. They can run the pipeline through Saudi Arabia, and then they can run all the way from Jordan to Syria. This area in Iraq is controlled by the Shia, which means no way this line will go through. He refused. So we need to change him. All of this have nothing to do with the human right. They don't care for a human right. What about, okay, we change the regime in Saudi Arabia? As we saw in Saudi Arabia, one of their terrorists, he went to the embassy in Turkey. He got in, he never get out. What they did to him? They butchered him, literally. They made him a ground beef. In Turkey. If they do that in Turkey, what they do in their land? If this is what they do in Turkey, in the Saudi embassy in Turkey, what they will do to someone who opposed them inside Saudi Arabia? What about Qatar? What about Emirat? All their friends are terrorists. What about Jordan? Name for me one country is a friend to the West. The most friendly ones are the most ugly ones. This guy in Syria, he is not their friend. He is a friend to the Russian. He gave the Russian 2 bases. One in the sea, and one is close to the Turkish border. They could not take it. That is dangerous. The Russian now, not only they have a big base, they have 2. And not only 2, they have a port. And not only they have a port, they have a strategic supply depot in Syria, which means they have oil anytime, they have a fuel, they have missiles, they have all kind of strategic support in the case of real war. And they are so close to Europe and so close to Turkey. This has nothing to do with the human right. The Western always they destroy countries, and the Ukrainian are victims of the Western. Not only the Russian. There is two beasts. If your country is delicious, that does not mean really you are lucky. It's the opposite. The more delicious it is, the more everyone want to take a bite from it. So Russia want to take the country. Iran want to take the country. The West want to take the country. And the Syrian people didn't know what to do. And now everyone support his own gang. The American, they found that always the Muslim Sunni are the best gang to support. They are terrorists. They kill for money. And they are willing to be sold. They say Allahu Akbar, but they have no problem to receive dollar from the American. They say we want to fight the kuffar, but they have no problem to be trained by the CIA. The Muslim Shia, they say they are against the kuffar, but they have no problem to buy even weapon from Israel, as what happened in Iran during the war with Iraq. Imagine Iran was buying weapon from Israel. And imagine Israel is selling weapon to Iran. Does that make sense to you? To make it more stupid, imagine Israel is supporting Hamas in Syria, and they are fighting Hamas in Israel. This is what happened in the last 10 years in Syria. Israel was supporting Hamas fighters in Syria. Even they opened a hospital for them in the borders with Israel. How you fight Hamas inside Israel and you support Hamas inside Syria? The answer is very simple. Hamas in Syria, they are killing the regime army. So we support them. Zero ethic. The terrorists in Syria, they are killing the Christians, they are killing the Assad army, they are killing the government official, they are burning the country. This is our enemy. So we support them. If you don't believe me, you can go and search right now Netanyahu. He opened a hospital. This is scumbag Netanyahu. He opened a hospital for those terrorists in the borders. He armed them, he supported them, he visited them. They are welcome in the borders of Israel. They are our friends, they are not our enemy.